Hey everyone, and welcome to another Crusader Kings 3 modding lesson on the Iron Workshop. In this lesson, we'll be learning how to create new rulers in Crusader Kings 3. Alright, so creating a new ruler involves doing all of these steps, and we'll start with step number 1, which is creating our new mod. Now, if you already have a mod created in which you maybe changed something else in the game, and you want that mod to include a new ruler as well, you can just skip this step and go directly to step number 2. Right, so to create a mod, we'll open Crusader Kings 3 in Steam. In here we'll go to Mods, Mod Tools, Create Mod. I'll just call it the New Ruler Mod, but obviously you can name it whatever you want. This is the version of your mod, not the version of the game. And this is the folder where we will be putting all the files and folders of the mod. So I will also call it New Ruler. And now just choose a tag for your mod. I'll just select Gameplay, Create Mod, and our mod has been created and has automatically been activated in the game. Alright, so we're done with step number 1. Now let's proceed to step number 2, creating our folder and file structure. In step number 2, we'll be creating the folder and file structure. So just open your Crusader Kings 3 mod folder. You can find this folder in Documents, Paradox Interactive, Crusader Kings 3 mod. And in there you should already have the folder of the mod that we just created or the mod that you already had before. So let's open this folder, and alongside that folder we'll also be opening the vanilla, the original game folder as well. That folder can be found in Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Crusader Kings 3 Game. Now the first folder we will be creating in our mod is the Common folder, so I will just create the Common folder. Inside of this folder we will need the DNA data folder. So I will just create this folder. And from this folder, I actually want to copy one of these files. I will copy the 01 Easter egg DNA file. So let me just take this file and copy it over here. And now I will also change the name of this file to the new character DNA. The next folder that we need is the history folder. So I'll go to the root folder of my mod, the first folder of my mod. And in here, I'll create the history folder. Now, please make sure that you're not creating the history folder inside of the common folder, because that will definitely make things not work. And this is something that I have actually done during the preparations to this lesson. And I just went mad not understanding why my character wasn't working until I figured it out. Alright, so now that we have the history folder, we'll go back in the Crusader Kings folder as well. And from the history folder, I will need two folders. I will need the titles folder, so let's just create that. And I will need the characters folder. So let's create this folder as well. Excellent. Now from these folders, I'll also be borrowing some files. So inside the characters folder, I will take the Afghan file and I will just copy it into my mod. And from the titles folder, I will be taking the title or the province that I want my ruler to control. To make things simple, I will take a title, for example, like Cyprus, and we will just be putting our ruler in there. If you want your ruler to be in a different place, then you will need to locate that place in these files. I will explain how you can find the exact title that you can assign to your ruler in order to fit him exactly where you need him to be. One final thing that I want to do is to change the name of the file here, and I'll just call it new character. Obviously, you can call it something else, it doesn't really matter. The reason that I'm doing this is so that it doesn't overwrite the base game files, since I want to create something completely new and not overwrite the existing stuff. If you want to override the existing stuff, then obviously you will need to keep the original names of the files. Alright, so we're done with step number 2, and now let's proceed to step number 3, creating our custom ruler entry. Alright, so in step number 3, we'll be creating the basic entry for our ruler. So to do that, let's open our mod folder. We'll go to History, Characters, New Character. And in here, the first thing that I'm going to do is to clean up this file. So I'm going to remove most of these entries from here since I don't really need them. So let's just remove all of these and we'll just leave this first entry. Make sure that this first bracket closes in here, otherwise things will not work. Now the first thing that we need to do is to give our new ruler an ID. This is the number by which our new ruler will be recognized by the game. Now unfortunately there is no clear documentation from Paradox about how the numbers work and which numbers you can use and which numbers are available, which are not. For now I suggest that you use 500,000 and above. Anything above that should be safe, but I'm not guaranteeing this since Paradox might add more characters in patches and things like that. But this is what we'll be using for now. So I will give my character the 500,100 ID. Alright, so this is the number by which my character will be recognized by the game. Next, we need to give him the name. So this is the name of my character. Now in this example, the name does not have quotation marks, but I highly suggest that you do use quotation marks and put the name in quotation marks, especially for long names. So we'll just call this character Player Hoy. No, you know what? Maybe we'll call him SpongeBob. Sure, why not? Next, this is the dynasty of your character. So you can either apply him to an existing dynasty, and this is the number of that dynasty, or you can create a whole new dynasty and just put the number in here. Now I will have a separate video about how to create new custom dynasties. For now, I'll just keep it as is. This is the religion of my character, and you can either keep it as is, or you can assign him a new religion. To find the available religions in the game, you can just go to Game, Crusader Kings 3, Game, Common. In here you'll have a folder called Religion, and inside of here you'll have another folder called Religions. And inside of this folder you'll have all of these files with all of these different religions that the game contains, and you just need to take the name of the religion and apply it in here like that. For the sake of this lesson, I'm just going to keep it as is to keep things simple. Now this is the culture of my character. This is the culture of my characters, and just as with religions, you can search for cultures in the common folder. In here you'll have a folder called cultures and cultures again, and then you can just use one of the cultures from these files, change it however you want. Excellent. Next, we have the birth date and the death date of our characters. This will determine your age, the age of your character. Now, you probably don't want the death entry in here because that will kill your character. But if you are creating a few characters and you want to create a family tree, some of these characters can actually be dead at the start of the game. It is up to you. For now, I will remove this. And in here, I'm going to give my character the birth date. Now this is very important since this will place your character in the correct bookmark when you start the game. So you will need to take the date of the bookmark, remove the age that you want your character to be, and that will be the age of your character once you start the game. So I'm planning to start the game in 1066, and I want my character to be around 30 years old. So I will just give him the birth date 1030. Excellent. Now let's add some aspects to this character. So in this file we can assign the traits of our character, and we can also give him his various skill, like his martial skill, diplomacy, intrigue, stewardship. In this lesson, I will just be giving him a few of these, and the other values will be randomized by the game. In general, when you create your character, and anything which was not specifically specified in the character file will be randomized. For example, how your character looks. If you do not specify it in here, it will be randomized completely. Of course, depending on culture and things like that. So let's just give our character 5 stats across the board. So to do that, you just need to type the name of the skill. So for example, martial 5 will give my character a martial skill of 5. Stewardship will give him the stewardship skill. This will give him a stewardship skill of 5, and we can go on with diplomacy, also 5. If you want to see all the other stats, you can just look it up in other characters that already exist in the game. Now let's give some traits to our character as well. So to add a trait, you just type trait and the name of your trait. Now traits as well can be found in the common folder. If you search for the trait folder, you'll find it in here. And in here you'll have the file for all the existing traits in the game. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to give my character the just trait. Excellent. Now, if you want your character to have a mother and a father, you just need to type mother and the ID of the mother. And if it's a father, then also the ID of the father. Not something that I'm going to be adding in this lesson, but obviously something that you can do. And the last thing that we will be adding in here is the DNA reference. So just type DNA equals, and we will be putting the DNA ID in here in the following steps. For now, let's just save this file, and we are done with step number 3, which is creating our custom ruler entry. And we can go on to step number 4, creating our new ruler DNA entry. In this step, we'll be creating our character DNA entry. This entry defines exactly how your character is going to look. So let's open our mod folder. We'll go to common, DNA data, new character DNA. Now this is the file that we copied from the original game. So the first thing that I'm going to do in this file is to clean it by removing all other entries except for the first one. Now you see that this first entry opens in here. This is the opening bracket. And if I scroll down, you see that it closes in here. So I'm just going to put my cursor in here. I'm going to hold the Shift key on my keyboard and just scroll all the way to the end of the file and remove everything else. Excellent. Now I'm also going to remove all of these entries since we don't really need them. So I'm going to remove everything inside of the genes part, right? So gene starts there, it ends here, and I'm just going to remove all of this thing. Excellent. Now I'm also going to change the ID of my character DNA data. So we will be calling it the SpongeBob DNA entry. Again, you can call it anything else, whatever you want, whatever makes it easier for you to identify it. Another thing that I want to do in this file is to determine the gender of my character. So in here, right before genes, I'm going to type and male. And that means that my character will be a male, and all the gene references which we will be putting in the next step will be applied as male entries. So now we can save this file and proceed to step number 5, customize our ruler in the portrait editor. Alright, so in this step we will need to access the portrait editor. In order to do that, you will need to start your game in debug mode. If you don't know how to start the game in debug mode, please see the relevant video. I will have a link to that in the upper right corner of the screen. And once your game is in debug mode, you can continue the lesson. So let me just start the game here. You can make sure that your game is in debug mode by pressing the tilde key on your keyboard. And if it is, this menu will pop up. And one of the options that you will have here is the portrait editor. So let's open that. Now, this is a very powerful and complex tool, and I won't be going into every detail of this tool. I'll be just creating a very simple character. You are very much welcome to play around with it and see how many variations and how many things you can change about your character. If you come up with something very cool, please let me know in the comments so that we are all aware of some of the cool things that this character editor can do. But as I said, right now I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm just going to show you how you can use it in order to create your character. So the character editor creates your character in both a male and a female format. And what it does is that it also creates the DNA. So it creates your character and it also determines how your offsprings will look like as well. And you don't really need to worry about all of that. All you need to do is to create your character and then things will be applied from there. So in order to start creating your character, you can either select a template from here. So you can have an Asian character, an Arab character, an African character, whatever you want. And once you select it, you can just click on randomize DNA and you see that it starts creating all of these possible characters. Now you can also determine the age of your character. This is more of a slider to let you see how your character may look like, and it is not something that actually defines the age of your character. This is only for you to see how your character might look like when he grows up. For example, in here you see this kid that has this very lovely beard, so that's pretty cool. You can also click on 3D view and then your character will be opened in here. You can use the mouse to scroll and zoom in on the character. You can expand this window just like that. You can move the character around by clicking the right mouse button and so on. So for now, let us just create a 3D looking character like that. In here, you can actually edit the genes. So these are the individual features of how your character looks, from eye color, from how the chin and the nose and the eyebrows look. But this is also a bit of a misleading name, since these genes also include what your character is wearing. So for example, if you scroll down here, you can see that one of the things that you can change in gene is the cloaks, right? So for example, you can have a cloak for your character to wear, and these are also things that are defined in here as well. Right, so as I said, you can play around with this thing, see how it works, try all kinds of different things. This is not something that I'm going to do here just to keep things simple. What you should know is that once you're finished, you need to click this button here, copy persistent DNA. This will copy the DNA entry into your computer's clipboard, so it is now saved on your clipboard. And what you need to do next is to open Notepad++, create a new file and just paste it in here like that. All right, so this is the gene entry for my character. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in here, but what we're going to do is very simple. The only thing that I'm interested is the genes entry. So all of this stuff that's in here, that's really what interests me. So I'm just going to copy it over and I'm going to put it in my own character DNA entry. So I'm going to add a new line, put it like that, and I'm just going to indent it so that it looks a bit better by selecting it and pressing the Tab key on my keyboard, just like that. Another thing that I do want to copy from here is the ID. And I'll just put it like this in here. And I'll save the file. So now we've actually told the game how our character will look like. Excellent. Now that that's done, let's proceed to step number 6 to assign the title to our ruler. And this will determine where exactly we can click on the map in order to start playing with our new character. So what I'm going to do is to open my mod folder. I'm going to go to History, Titles, and open the K-Cypress file. Now, if your file is different, it doesn't really matter since all of these files function the same way. What we need to do in here is to find the relevant date where we want to add our character in, or you can just put in a new date. The only thing that you should remember is that dates are overriding each other. So that means that if you put your character before and there's a date entry after, then that will override your entry and you may not see your character. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start the game to make things easier for me to find. Let me just close the character editor. Let's go into the game, new game. We'll go to 1066. And let me just take a look at Cyprus so that I can see where I can put my character. As far as I'm aware, the Kingdom of Cyprus, the K stands for Kingdom, probably did not exist at this bookmark. So I'm just going to press here to see what can I actually put, where can I actually put my character in. So I know that I do have the Duchy of Cyprus. So this is this entry in here, right? D for Duchy, Duchy of Cyprus. And I know that currently the character who's holding it is this Dux Leon of Cyprus. Excellent. So I just want to override him. And we know that the date is 1066. So let's see how many entries we have in here for 1066. Okay, we should have our character somewhere in here, right? So 1060 is where this character was placed, this one, and then it gets replaced by another character in here. So I'm just going to do the following. I'm going to copy this entry. I'm going to put another one in here, and I'm just going to type 1061, right? So after 1 year, SpongeBob takes over. So let me just get the ID of my character. And I'm just going to put him in here, just like that. So now the game knows that the holder of the title of Duchy of Cyprus is this character who is SpongeBob in our case. Alright, so we've given our character the Duchy of Cyprus. However, that is still not enough, because what will happen is that our character will be a duke, right? But he won't actually have his own territory that he's holding. So we also need to give him a lower level title to control. So I'm going to just copy this entry and I'm going to go down here, and in here it says See Nicosia. So this is the county of Nicosia. In order for you to be able to play your character, you must give your character a county level province to control. If they don't have that, you will not be able to play your character. So once again, let's go over here. We'll just put the holder in here again. And now our character is ready to be played. Let's go into the game and see if it works. Alright, so as you can see, we have Duke's SpongeBob of the Shani Dynasty. He does have the Just trait that we gave him, but the game has added 2 other traits randomly. And we can just start playing this character. This is our guy with the beard. And that is it. As you can see, we have created our own custom character. And this is all you need to know about creating new custom characters in Crusader Kings 3. Now there's a bit more complexity to it, but this is not something that I wanted to go into. If you're really passionate about creating your own characters in Crusader Kings 3, don't hesitate to explore the files, dig into them, try different things. It's okay if your game crashes occasionally, especially when using the portrait editor. Sometimes when you click on things, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing and it crashes. That's totally fine. Just let yourself explore all of these features and see what results you can come up with. If something didn't work for you, or if something wasn't understood during this lesson, please let me know in the comments and I will do my best to help you. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial, lesson, or video on the Iron Workshop. Bye bye. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. The algorithm and me will be very happy. Here are more videos I make. If you like my stuff, consider subscribing to be notified when new content is available. The Iron Workshop lives and thrives thanks to the continued support of my Patreons. If you're willing and able, you can support me on Patreon for just $1 and get access to exclusive and early content.
See you around.